one of my favorite ones, of course, is you turn out to be a bad guy and you're the evil Lone Ranger, and you and Andy, are wanting to fight Dawn and me because, we do a morning show and then we on the side, we're superheroes. And the whole gist of the episode was how long does it take to get to the brawl, to get to the fisticuffs. And so we spend the entire time in the Powermobile from the time we have to get dressed up, in our outfits, and y'all are just sitting around. We kept going back to you, and you're waiting for us, and you go. We told them that we're to meet, right? Just you and Andy just shooting the breeze.
We're standing in the middle of this field waiting to have the showdown, and we're doing small talk. And
yes, and we'd come back to us driving down, down in the Powermobile. Then Dawn and I stop at Sonic because we're kind of hungry. We want to, have a full, fight on a full stomach. We ran out of gas. We get pulled over by the cops, and so there's a lot going on to get to the fight, and so it takes the entire show. From the beginning, where we find out that you guys are on the loose, and we've got to stop you, to the point where we get to the very end of the show to where it's time to fight, and then we pull a Monty Python, and we just kind of the producer comes out and ends the show right then.
Yep.
And so yeah, we weren't too proud of ourselves to not borrow from some of our favorite comedic moments. So.
I remember a few, and then it was just funny I thought of something else, and I saved this. So there was a girl, when I got to TBN, for those who don't know, TBN, JCTV became Juice TV, so they're the same thing, and just depends on the era of when it was. But there was a lady who worked at TBN, and she was maybe just a little bit older than me, so she said that she's just a big Christian rock fan, and she found the stream and was listening to Power FM for years on the stream. And she said that she was like, yeah, I always liked your show. And, she's like, I heard you get married, and I heard you go on tour with Manifest. And she's like, I heard all these life events that you were doing because I would listen to you in the afternoons. And she's like, she's out here in California listening to Power FM in Dallas on the stream. And then you made the announcement that you were leaving. I was so bummed. And then you came back on the air to tell the announcement. And you're like, yeah, I'm leaving Power FM to go to California to work at JCTV. And she's like, what? so I'm still friends with her, so props to Corey for being a Power FM fan, but before I even knew her. She's great. When I left Juice TV and went to the TVN side, I worked in the traffic department, and her brother was on my team. So his name is Patrick, and I worked with him for a really long time too.
So that was from 2010 to just recently you have been with them, and now you're going to be a guy that's out there figuring out a new path, and it looks like you're going to do some continuing doing the DJ stuff.
Yeah. So I have live gigs, still doing my turntablism stuff. Right now, there's some dates coming up in Texas with the Whosoevers, and they're a movement, that Brian Head Welch of Korn is a part of, and Lacey from Flyleaf, and Sonny from POD. And the guy who is kind of the main guy of the Whosoevers, his name is Ryan Reese. And he has a really radical testimony, just like Brian, just like Sonny. And they go and speak to youth and do these events. And so I'll be DJing for them on some of their upcoming dates, and have some solo stuff and everything like that. And then the other thing that I'm pretty excited to be able to tell you this again live is new breaking news is my radio show on the 128 DB Rock app starts tomorrow.
Okay.
So, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central is my new show called the West Coast Wednesday Radio Show, and we're going to be playing all stuff from California, from Southern California. I'm going to throw in, it's funny because being out here, how many Christian bands, how much Christian music is started out here or was here.
Well, yeah,
so,
obviously Tooth and Nail Records
Yeah.
Brandon, he grows up in Seattle, but comes down to Southern California to be like an intern at Frontline Records.
And before Tooth and Nail started. Yeah.
Right. And so Brandon comes from that and heads back home and begins, and of course, a lot of the groups from Southern California, the Supertones and what did Plank Eye come from there too?
So in my first episode, I play a new song from Rob Gallus, who was the lead singer of Undercover and Black and White World. And then he has a new record coming out. And then I play a really old, off their first record, Altar Boys song.
Oh, wow.
And it was recorded in Costa Mesa. So, so I play a couple, I'm going to dabble a little bit, play a couple of, as they are relative to Southern California songs, from the Power FM.
Okay.
So,
well, that sounds great, man. I've enjoyed talking to you, and we might have to do this again. This might just be part one. We'll talk to as many as we can, and we might just, by the time we go talk to everybody, it'll be your turn again, and a little time has passed, and we can keep catching up with you, and remembering some of those wonderful times we had. All righty, this is the Take One podcast, whatever we call it. I don't know what we're calling it. Power Podcast, whatever. This is episode 1, and that's a wrap.